Hello everybody, this is Jeremy in the Dot. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look at ML Sound Lab's AMPED block letter. Now this is an emulation of the PV5150 and a PV6505, hence 5555 and 6666. It's just letting you know which model they are. And in this we have all three channels, the lead, crunch, and clean channels of the 5150 and the lead, crunch, and clean channels of the 6505. So let's just jump in and take a quick listen to the demo that we have here. Here we go. Cool. So that demo was using the 5150 or the 5555 as the rhythm guitars. That's both on the left and right DI. And if we take a quick look at the actual signal chain, all I'm doing is using console 1 just because I like to use it to control my faders. It's essentially a DAW controller. There is no processing going on whatsoever. And that is the same thing for the left and right side. And unlike GNR, I'm actually utilizing the built-in cabinets here and the built-in mics. So this is all standalone from this plugin alone. For that really terrible solo that I did, just to show that it can be used for something a little more mid-rangey, I am using the 6666 or the 6505 on the crunch channel. And for this one, I am processing it quite heavily to make it have a very thin and consistent sound using an L2 and a Kirchhoff EQ. Let's go ahead and let's grab my guitar and let's take a look. So we will load up a fresh instance of the AMPED block letter. Cool. And the guitar that I'm using today is my Gibson Les Paul Studio from 1990. So it's a little different than the guitar I normally use. But let's start off. So the first thing we have on the front is the tuner. A very fast and very accurate tuner. Keep in mind that your guitar will never perfectly be in tune, but this is significantly better than the tuner on my Axe effects. After that, we have the pedalboard, which gives us our pedal platform of a noise gate. And this is definitely more of an expander gate. It's not a hard gate that you get in more modern metal type of gates. You get a compressor, a drive knob, which is obviously a Tube Screamer-esque drive, a chorus, delay, and reverb. For the cabinets, we get two speaker cabinets to choose from, the Mega 4x12 Oversize and the Mega 4x12 91 Green. These can be found inside of the Miko plugin, but if you don't have that, you can use this much like the Miko plugin by going left, right, back, forward, and using your scroll wheel to tilt. You can choose up to 4 microphones, the SM57, the Sennheiser 421, the Royer 121, and the Beyerdynamic 160. Your mix slider here will allow you to slide between the left and right speaker, and you can get a nice blend in between. The MIDI control lets you have MIDI control if you're using a MIDI controller, and then you have your licensing manager. And right here we have our Verona modeling and light modeling. So if this plugin is using too much CPU, you can set it into light mode and it will sound different. It'll have the old school style modeling, while the Verona modeling will have the newer modeling. Personally, I can hear a slight difference in the high-end fizziness and the low-end detail, but in a mix, it might not really matter that much, but it definitely matters when you're tracking. It gives you a lot more of a realistic feel. Taking a look at the amps, it's much like the AMPED GNR, where we have the ability to switch between our presets for each individual amp. Each channel will have its own preset bank. And for the 5150, we obviously start off with the lead. We can do the Miko block letter preset. And this will give us a good starting off point. The output volume is completely after everything else, so keep in mind that that is a great way of finalizing your output level. Now, your input level is going to control how hard you're hitting the plugin. If you don't see this lighting up slightly blue or green, you should increase the gain just a touch. This will allow you to have the ideal amount of gain staging. And then you have your preamp gain, your equalizer, which is low, mid, and high, your post gain, which is your power amp, and then your power amp control for resonance and presence. Now this sounds completely different than the amp GNR, where using the treble gain really makes it sound nice. In this case, I actually really prefer presence because it has a much more metal, kind of like scooped crunchiness to it. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of these presets. So we're going to turn on the noise gate and let's set everything to noon. It sounds very heavy just off the bat. And if I go to my neck pickup, it has a very heavy tone. So oftentimes if you have too much low end, what you can do is just turn on your drive pedal. And it helps clean it up. Let's see the differences in the tones, right? So we have our lead channel, our crunch channel. And this allows us to have the bright switch on and off. Really dulls it out. We can increase the gain. Right, pretty clean. But listening to that, that's so different than the GNR. It's mind-boggling how it's just so much more crunchy. The clean channel, of course, is not going to be perfectly clean. But I don't know a lot of people who use 5150s for their clean channels. The other thing is, let's take a listen to the differences between the 6505 and the 5150. So what I'm hearing from the 6505 is a lot more mid-range and lower mid-range frequencies, and a smoother taper off of the high frequencies. While the 5150 has a more scooped tone and a little bit more grittiness in the high frequencies. The crunch channel keeps that same tonality, but also has that clean tone. Let's try the clean. To be honest, the 6505 doesn't have a great clean tone. Neither does the 5150, but it is a little bit brighter. You can really just kind of tweak it to get the type of tone that you're looking for, which I think is a very important thing. So what about some more heavy tones? Well, let's show you how easy it is to dial in a tone with this thing. So we'll just set this to lead, and we'll set the gain staging properly. Already it sounds really cool. It's a nice chug machine. We increase the preamp gain. And that thing sounds amazing. We're going to bring down the low frequencies, maybe boost the mids, and let's listen to the high frequencies. Let's try the presence. Now, notice how when I bring down the resonance, it still keeps low end because I get to boost up the low end with the low knob, but definitely tightens this thing up quite a bit. Personally, I really like the high end presence knobs on this one. In most metal amps, I don't usually like presence because it sounds too fizzy and shrill. But in this, it sounds fantastic. Post gain will give us that power amp kind of a tone suck. And if I crank it all the way up, you can hear just how saturated it gets. Now let's check out the pedal board. Now we're using the noise gate. It's working pretty good. Like I said, it's not a hard gate. It's more of an expander. It's working pretty good. We have the compressor. So what I'm noticing is with the compressor, when you have it all the way up, it really squashes it. It acts more like a limiter where you have no dynamic difference between soft and hard pick notes. The drive works just like a tube screamer. The chorus sounds pretty good. Well, the delay sounds pretty fantastic. I like to have this set to a slow time and a high feedback. Add a little bit of reverb. Cool. Now, something we can do is actually put this onto a stereo channel because inside of Cubase, at least the older version, Cubase 12, we're not able to have a mono to stereo channels. So I'm just going to select my input and we'll just drag this over. There we go. Now we have our stereo reverb. Something to keep in mind is that the chorus and delay are mono while the reverb is stereo, which is, I think it would be awesome if we could make both of those stereo, but it's really not a big deal because it sounds fantastic. Next, let's take a look at the cabinets. So we're going to use the right cabinet first, and that is going to be the Mega 41291 green. Let's try a 57. I like that actually, it sounds pretty good. We'll use the Mega 412 oversize now, and maybe we'll blend in And honestly, just like that, we've already come up with a pretty easy to use tone. Really, really fast. Now, of course, we can change this to the 6505. This is more like a great tone for something that's maybe higher tuned. And we can actually do that by grabbing my Axe Effects and turning off the pitch shifter. It actually sounds really good with a standard tuned guitar. But I find the 5150 to sound fantastic with lower tunings. Cool, and that's just showing you how it could sound if you use different types of tunings. I have a 6-string Gibson, obviously, so the way that I'm simulating having multiple strings is by just detuning it. But personally, I think this thing sounds absolutely amazing. It's super heavy, super thick. Just super over the top. And if you listen to the guitar tracks, the rhythm guitars, all of them are just using this setting right here. Let's compare the settings that we have here. The preamp gain is slightly lower. I'm not cranking the input. I've brought down the lows, the mids, and the highs while using the post gain at noon, a little bit of resonance, and then a lot of presence. And that's how I'm getting that tone. So if we actually grab this one, put it over here. And we'll compare the two. So this is the one on the rhythm guitar. And this is the one for the demo that I've been doing right now. So what I've used for the demo is actually just tighter sounding. It's a little bit more nuanced and natural. And if we just listen to the demo one more time really quickly, we'll really hear how, even though I've done absolutely no post-processing whatsoever to this track, it actually sounds really, really good. The only other thing is I'm blending this in with a bass guitar. This is using Ample Sounds Metal Ray, using the BOD, which is a free plugin, L2 limiter, and then the Kirchhoff EQ. Cool. And I guess that's going to be my video on the ML Sound Labs Amped block letter. Personally, if you're into more heavy music or metal, I think you should really go for it, especially for the detune stuff. This thing sounds absolutely amazing. If you're going for something more like a classic rock, go for Amp GNR or go for ML 800. I don't own that one, but I tried the demo. It's really good. And yeah, I really like it. I recommend it. I think it sounds fantastic. And this is one that I didn't use Miko 2 for. I didn't even want to because it just sounded so good. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. This is German Tail on the dial. Later.